Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this Friday Hall of Fame Day edition of Gulfstream today from our Paddock Studios at Gulfstream Park. It is Acacia Courtney and Jason Blewett alongside. Happy to have you again and delighted with your company on a beautiful Friday afternoon in which we start things out with certainly a hearty congratulations to the 2017 Hall of Fame inductees.
Absolutely, and especially those of you that do follow Gulfstream Park throughout the winter. Javier Castellano, we see him quite a bit down here, and congratulations to all of the inductees today on the Hall of Fame Day up at Saratoga. Just certainly a great day to be able to recognize those that have put in so much hard work and accomplished so much in the game.
And as far as the three riders that went in posthumously, Garrett Gomez, who in his day, and terrific human being who struggled and was very open with his struggles about substance abuse and mental illness, but a heck of a rider in his day when he hit his prime, say, a decade ago. Victor Espinoza, whose exploits speak for themselves, has a triple crown to his credit with American Pharaoh. Javier, of course, who's won a gazillion races locally at Gulfstream Park, and who could forget the wonderful race mare in Goldie Kova, who, to be honest, if I was to give you a top 5 of the fillies and mares that I've seen run in my days of being a racing fan, she's unequivocally in the top 5. She was just terrific.
So this is a personal one for you.
Yes, Goldie Cove, even though very much a European miler, so to speak, yes, she hit home with me watching her win for a third time at Churchill Downs on that 2010 Breeders' Cup, along with the Blames and Yada Classic and Uncle Mo's juvenile victory. It was just one of the best days of racing that I've ever been a part of and witnessed. So congratulations again on this Hall of Fame Day to the inductees way up north in Saratoga Springs. Now, we certainly have a Hall of Fame-worthy co-host and co-worker in Ron Nicoletti, who there's no one sharper when it comes to South Florida racing, and you get your chance to take on a surefire first ballot Hall of Fame handicapper in Mr. Ron Nicoletti with the Beat the Expert.
He's up for Beat the Expert today. Don't forget, it's Twilight Friday, so we'll kick things off around 2:15 today, so you have until then to get your picks in just under an hour. So you can go to our Facebook page and enter for the 9 races this afternoon. Tweet us, let us know that you're playing, let us know if you win. In particular, you could have the chance to get one of those great polo shirts.
All right, good stuff. We'll start a little after 2:15 p.m., and this begins a long but very solid Whitney weekend down south here at Gulfstream Park. As far as the live racing action goes, we'll run 9 today, 13 tomorrow, and 12 on Sunday. Gunavera in action here Sunday afternoon in race number 4. And the 2-year-olds in the Florida Sire Stakes, the opening leg, they'll throw down late in the Saturday card tomorrow. We'll begin with a field of 8. In fact, 8 in both the Desert Vixen and the Dr. Fager. But here are the gals running on tomorrow's card.
You can see even money on the morning line is the number 3 Awesome Mass. She got an 81 by her speed figure, winning by more than 11 lengths to break her maiden last time out. I actually was out at Stanley Gold's barn this morning, and she is just about as sweet as they could possibly come, and her coat felt like velvet. She obviously looks in great form, so she seems ready to go, as do a couple of his others. He has 2 in the boys as well in the Dr. Fager.
Indeed he does, including Dunk, who's almost like the cult counterpart of Awesome Mass. They're both by brethren, both owned and bred by Arundel Farm, and are both coming out of fast wins here locally at Gulfstream Park by daylight margins. 78 buyer most recently for the 7 Dunk, who on the virtue and strength of his last out maiden score is your clear morning line favorite for trainer Stanley Gold, who's looking for a record 19th and 20th Florida Sire Stakes victory tomorrow. Standing in his way, no doubt, will be trainer Ralph Nix, who's got 3 of the 8 in the Dr. Fager, including Phantom Row and Satouche, who both in their respective debuts were pretty solid.
Very nice wins for both of them, so it will be really interesting to see how they continue to progress. And Stanley had a great line this morning. He said, well, Ralph Nix has got me surrounded with 3 in there, but it should be an excellent 2-year-old stakes races tomorrow, and we'll get to really see how they will progress in the next 2 legs of the Florida Sire Stakes.
As we come off a 2016 series in which 3 rules swept the races for the boys. We'll see what's in store here tomorrow afternoon, but we can't can't get through Saturday or into Saturday before we get through this Twilight Friday card. Just 9 races today, and we'll begin a little after 2:15 p.m. in the first with a field of 8. We'll have that dollar rolling super high 5. That'll jumpstart as well the opening leg of Friday's early pick 5, and then a bit later on, the traditional opening spot of the Rainbow Pick 6. It's race number 4.
And just under $30,000 in that carryover. We're at 28.9 right now, so keep an eye on that. Again, tomorrow we'll have those 13 races. It'll start in the 8th race tomorrow, so a little bit later. But today, race number 4, and then we cap things off with the 50-cent late pick 5 in the 5th.
Almost like a half a day here with just 9 races. It'll be a fun weekend. We'll try to build up the bankroll. That's the name of the game, and we'll try to get lucky on today's program that begins on the turf. And by the way, we come out of a fast and firm Thursday afternoon in which backtracking to the main track, I think the inside was really the place to be, and early speed was a very potent weapon. We didn't see too many closers getting involved on the dirt or even mid-pack runners. I'm wondering if that's a trend that continues today, and we'll find out. But let's get through the first. How does that sound? We'll get through the first.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. And, of course, we can't go any further as we start the action with a 5-furlong, 2-lifetime, 3-and-up filly mare claimer. We can't go any further before we see your pick 5 ticket. What's it look like?
Yes, well, I do have a single today. Bit of a question, but I think in the first race, Histrionic is the one to beat. Very early in the wagering. The number 3, Perennis, is taking a lot of early money, but on paper, I think it's Histrionic after that last race for sure. Going to back myself up with Don't Believe Watch as well. I think the second race is an anything can happen race. You have a first-time starter that's your morning line favorite, but I don't think has to win at all. So I use 3 in there. My single will come with Devilish Romance, trying to get it 2 in a row for Amanda de la Cerda. Did beat a couple other in this field, and I think she's just been in very strong form. And then I'll use 2 deep in the 4th race as we get to there. That's a maiden claimer. And then I'm going to spread in the 5th race. I think it's Bidacora's to lose, but I do think that there are a couple other strong competitors in there. $24 for me.
It's a very quality-filled 5th race to cash out this early pick 5, and I do believe Bidacora, like you, is the filly to beat, and all things being equal. Maybe she's the best horse going in, but she's going to need an A-level effort and a clean trip in a very tightly contested field on paper. But it begins with a rematch, and that includes certainly Histrionic out of the first race here, the opener back on July 15th. That one had a touch of quality, Lady Greatness, Histrionic, and Don't Believe Watch. So you've got basically 3 of the 4 who were in the Superfecta that day, and you and I both want the 7 Histrionic as we backtrack via the spotlight.
She was a little bit of a price, and she showed quite a bit of speed last time. You can see she's on the rail, and just to her outside, as is nicely highlighted there, is the number 7 Lady Greatness. We'll pick it up from the quarter pole. And I thought that both of them, again, showed that early speed. And I just want to freeze it right there because I want to highlight the number 5. Here's the winner, Touch of Quality, and we'll let it go from there. She was 50-1. And the best part about this is that she came back to win again next time out. So it's pretty insane. It actually looked like Histrionic might have it won here. On the outside, Lady Greatness did hold on for second, but this is a horse that's just won for 25, so I had a hard time putting her on top. In between them is Touch of Quality again, who did come back to win again.
I think one of the keys to this race, aside from the rematch, that's obvious, what does the pace or how does the pace play out with Lady Greatness from the outside? You potentially have Perennis up in the mix for trainer Gerald Bennett, who's on a bit of a cold run, and the number 5 Dreaming of Asa, or Aka, as that one goes second off the claim for trainer Gustavo Delgado. But I thought, like you, Histrionic's last was a real step in the right direction. We'll take her to get it underway here on the Friday card. To the main we go. Race number 2, a 6.5-furlong, real grab bag, hodgepodge type group in this 3-and-up maiden special weight. This isn't your, even at this time of the year in South Florida, this is not your typical special weight field where you've got basically half of the group stepping up off maiden claiming efforts, couple of firsters in the mix, and then a horse like the number 3, Mr. Miserable, making that turf to dirt move second time out. Baby I'm Perfect is probably the right starting point, whether or not he's super live today, and judging from the early money in the doubles, he's going to take some play, and he may go off favored here. A lot of quality on the female side of the pedigree. We'll give you the rundown with the Blewitts Bullets on this Happy Altar, owned and bred son of a Travers winner. Fourth foal from a dam coming out of a strong female family, and Curlin's approval is in that female DNA, and the best sib is a 3-time dirt winner in the name of Curlin's Princess. Certainly bred to be an okay runner with the hot riding Miguel Vasquez.
Absolutely does. Now, I did think there was a little bit of turf pedigree there, so I'll be curious to see how this one looks. The Dam's 2 wins were on the turf. As far as the siblings go, as you said, there were a couple of dirt winners and 1 turf winner in there. What really did make me kind of hit the pause button is there are a couple of really sharp works scattered in there, but it's an extensive work tab all the way back to February. They've been waiting to get this one debuted, and Dave Caston does a great job preparing horses, but over the past 5 years, he has just won for 18 with first-time starters in maiden special weight. So I wanted to see one from this one, just not really knowing what to expect, and that's where I said in my pick 5 analysis, I thought this was kind of an anything can happen race.
It really is.
And my horse is certainly, I don't think, a lock by any means. Foreman, the foreman, was just so impressive going back to the turf in that race. Mr. Miserable has some experience, though it was on the turf going 5/8, so he'll try the dirt now. The Dam won on both surfaces. He's a 3-year-old by Midnight Loot, so I'll give him a second try like that Jaramillo stays.
Yeah, might just be bred, certainly on the sire side for dirt. The mare, Rick Violet trained her, a New York bred who I remember running back in her racing days. Tricks in the City was more of a turf horse, but clearly some very sharp and shrewd connections involved, and I would expect some big-time improvements second out with Mr. Miserable. I had a bit of a goofy price idea with the 5 Outstanding Debt. A New York bred who's got no real pedigree to speak of, being by a very blue-collar, backyard-type stallion, and I say that with respect and peace and love in Alex's pal. What caught my eye was the trip last time out, July 14th. We're starting to run into a series of racing cards at Gulfstream where horses are going to be returning out of the dirt racing on that program. It was another Twilight Friday. It poured before the day began, and as that card progressed, the inside was really, really gold, and horses were getting enervated who were running and basically scraping the rail. This horse sat inside but angled far off the fence in the stretch and really finished up, best of all, way, way, way outside. And I'm thinking, if this horse is ever going to crack a maiden special weight here at Gulfstream Park, it's going to be in sort of a real Motley Crue type grab bag field like this one.
Yeah, certainly could be. He is technically stepping up from maiden 16 to special weight, but he does get the blinkers on. And as you said, this is a race that you really just don't know what kind of quality it is.
Indeed. All right, on to race number 3. We are back on the turf course. 7.5 furlongs with this 3-up filly mare, $16,000 claimer. And the horse that will basically and potentially decide your early pick 5 is, well, the likely favorite in the filly that Acacia and I both picked on top. And she's the real center in this race, the number 3, Devilish Romance, who was just coming in off a perfect ride and perfect trip for Tyler Gaffalione, who's back aboard for Midwest, and the streaking, white-hot Armando de la Cerda.
Yeah, been going so great lately, and we'll go back to that race. And I think a key with this one is that she did drop from $30,000 claimers to the $16,000. You can see she's the number 8 that day. Hold That Kitten, who is actually in this race as well. She'll be right next door, set the pace far ahead of the rest of the field, but I thought that they were kind of all strung out, but when she shifted outside, and here's where I think things really change, and we'll just freeze right here. You can see these will probably be the 2 big players again today, Hold That Kitten on the inside and Devilish Romance on the outside as we roll now to the wire. This is where I think Devilish Romance maybe just shows how she is a bit more classy, and she ends up just pulling away.
Good way to put it there. I'm going to call a class edge here. And, I mean, being ridden by a jockey who's got 188 wins on the year and seems to be an odds-on favorite to become the first to hit that 200-win plateau, just doesn't make many mistakes. And all things, again, being equal, class edge here with Devilish Romance. Then the question becomes, Acacia, who do you want or who do you think are the main threats? I went more towards the outside. If I was going to take a shot against the favorite or play some exactas or tries, I'm using Athera, who's stretching back out. Maybe tipped her hand, or I should say she won going long last time at a big price, getting up over a 40-to-1 shot. But I thought her last was a real nice step in the right direction. And I think the Trona girl just hasn't had much luck on her side, and she's basically having her claiming price cut in half. You like the 2, Hold That Kitten. You're looking for a complete reprise from that July 14th race.
Well, it could, and I think that she'll be up on the front, on the engine early with the number 1 Pert. I do think that that she is just the type of horse that's shown that speed, and she's been able to hold on to stay in the money in the last couple. So that's why I did end up using her in the exacta as well. I think that Pert is more the speed and stop type, or she has been lately anyway, with the exception of her sloppy track race. That does seem to be where she likes to be, but I totally agree with what you said about Athera and Neutrona Girl on the outside.
All right, as Armando looks to rack up another victory, just a quick pop as far as his success in giving a leg up to jockey Tyler Gaffalione. We'll give you a quick rundown in the statistics department. They've obviously been a team that's been close to unbeatable as far as racetrack percentages go, batting just under 50%. You got Devilish Romance to get around in race number 3. It certainly, as Acacia perfectly put it, a logical early pick 5 single. That's a sequence that begins in Friday's 4th race, and this is also the starting point of the Rainbow Six. We'll talk about it and plenty more after a little time out on this 9-race edition of Gulfstream Today.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Saturday, August 5th, summer's hottest series returns to Gulfstream Park. It's the Florida Sire Stakes and Summer Soiree. Cheer on Florida's thoroughbred stars of tomorrow in this thrilling afternoon of live racing action. First race is 12:45 p.m. and admission and parking are free. Plus, savor an array of international and domestic pairings at the wildly popular wine and cheese tasting. Don't miss out. Get your tickets today. Visit GulfstreamPark.com for details. The Florida Sire Stakes and Summer Soiree series. Welcome to your playground, Gulfstream Park.
And a hearty welcome back to your playground, this Friday edition of Gulfstream Today. Just 9 races to talk about, and that means the starting point in the Friday Rainbow is the 4th. And Acacia's got a ticket brewing, and how much we putting in?
Well, 43.20, the magic number, or so we hope. And it kicks off here with this maiden 16,000. I'll use a couple in here, one with experience and one first-time starter, so the 4 and the 5. Again, going to use some coverage in the 5th race. Again, thinking it's Bitacora's to lose, but a lot of class and talent in there as well. Nice state-bred maiden special weight in the 6th, also getting some coverage there. As we get to the 7th race, I like Wild Chatter and Two Step Blues. Those will be my big 2 in there. The 8th race is full of questions. I would have loved to have more races and more horses in there, but trying to keep it affordable, I did just use 2. And then 3 deep as we get to the nightcap. We'll see if More Alex can finally break a little bit sharper, as I always do think he is the most talented horse in the race.
I am so anxious to see if he can actually get out of the gate, basically with the field. Even a half step slow will work for him.
Just be like a little bit closer there.
Yeah, you can brush the gate today, but try to break maybe right off the flank of the slowest horse early instead of spotting everybody a good 5 lengths.
Yeah.
But more on that down the line in race number 9. But the 4th race, you'll have the board, obviously, to use in the opening leg of Friday's Rainbow, because at this point, there's some guesswork. You've got a field of 7 after the scratch of the outside runner. 3 firsters in the mix, and that is where Acacia and I went. My guess was with the 3 Zing Zing, thinking very much this was a 2-year-old in the Wesley Ward program. Ice Wine Stable is a Wesley Ward outfit. This horse was training, I would assume, with Wesley Stable up at Palm Meadows before he left town for the summer. Last couple works with Angel Rodriguez locally at GP. We don't think of this barn as a 2-year-old barn per se, but Angel's had 5 2-year-old winners over the last 5 years. And again, the pedigree is all Wesley Ward. And off that, I mean, if Wesley Ward was listed as the trainer today, this horse might be favored just because he clearly can get one legged up to win first out, especially in a 2-year-old maiden claim, or as good, if not better, than anybody.
Absolutely. And so it'll be interesting to watch the board, as you said, and to get a look at these horses beforehand. Has apprentice Franklin Ceballos in the saddle. The Dam one at 2 as well, and this is her first full. I also landed on a first-time starter, and just looking at stats for the Dave Fox barn, 2-year-old first-time starters in maiden claiming over the past 5 years. He's 10 for 47, so 21% win, nearly half of the time in the money, and a positive ROI of 205. And that, plus the fact that Tyler Gaffalione gets aboard, and looking at the pedigree, this one's out of a stakes-placed mare who did win on both turf and dirt, but she was a 3-time dirt sprinter, so that's what I landed on in here. As you said, a little bit of guesswork in here, but I think a live firster could be strong.
All right, the only gray. Yes, a live firster will beat the few in here with
Right.
experience. The ones that have run will be in trouble if, relatively speaking, the 4 and 3 can run at all. Race number 5 on the program kicks off the late pick 5, a 3-up filly mare, 7.5 furlong turf race. This will go as the Friday featured 5th, and it is a good one as we get into a quality-filled weekend of racing at Gulfstream Park. Now, as far as the opening leg of the late pick 5 goes, I'm just going to put all my eggs in the basket of Bidacor. I'm hoping she pulls a clean trip and gets an honest pace to attack. If she does, I think her class will prevail and come through. You've got some guesswork to be had in race number 6. Field of 7, or excuse me, a field of 8 after scratches with 6 first-time starters and the second-time starting Reagan's Rose in the mix. I will use Reagan's Rose and the 6 homemade salsa. Race number 7, I could single Wild Chatter. You might have a situation where she's a little better than them, but I also want, because the statistics are good, Safi Joseph second off the claim with Storm and Charlotte. Race number 8 on the program. There's a big field in that one, but I feel pretty comfortable using trainer Gilberto Zerpa with the 6 Silver Chalice and the number 10 Mo Bourbon for Elizabeth Dobles. And coming up on the nightcap, you hit the nail on the head. Does more Alex finally break? Yeah, we spend our lives basically handicapping and talking about and analyzing these horses. You can't help but feel some sort of attachment to More Alex because he can run and he's got talent. He's just been his own worst enemy, and he's been a real interesting horse who's just a tried and true slow breaker. We'll see him in the ninth today.
He's consistent. At least you got to give him that.
He is very consistent in that off slow and dwelt department. Now, as far as the 5th race field, let's begin with Bidacora, who seems to be kind of the first in line, if you will, that everybody, at least as far as handicapping, will fall in line behind her. Is she the best horse going into this race?
She certainly could be. I think that she's perhaps run against the toughest, and we'll go back to our race 2 starts back in the Ginger Punch, which I thought was one of her best races to date. She's the number 4, and she's out at the back. And before we start, I want to highlight the number 7, who's something else, and we'll let it roll from there. We'll pick it up at the quarter pole. And the important thing to note about this, and we mentioned this in our Gulfstream Weekly show, is that the pace held in here. Something else was out front, and Bidacora closed into what was actually a slow pace, and the pace did not collapse. So I thought it was a very impressive run from her. She ran into the likes of Adorable Miss next time out in the Martha Washington, and for a while at the start I actually thought she was a horse that was maybe just better on the slop, but she's really proved herself as a nice turf runner.
I would put her perhaps number 1 on this circuit's most improved horses since I got down here Derby week. I mean, she has come a long way and really stepped up her game, and with the ascension in class has held her form quite remarkably well. And again, she was adversely affected by that dawdling pace last time, in which Adorable Miss and Katinka ran 1-2 around the track here, 4th of July in the Martha Washington. I am very curious to see which Vendetta we get today. When I got to Florida, I had originally, before she ran on May 3rd, or I guess getting prepped for that day for this show, watching some of her victories during that time. Oh, she was like...
She was unbeatable.
Yeah, the equine version of a lawnmower. She was like so impressive. I wonder, and again, with the rise in competition, her winning ways have kind of evaporated, and I think this is a pivotal race to see whether A, the drop in class is really going to help, or B, she's just really gone the wrong way.
It really will be a big test for her. It really will be. Now, she ran in the Treasure Coast. What was that race?
Treasure Coast.
Treasure Coast last time.
think.
It was the Treasure Coast last time against King's Ghost, who just came flying, as did Quebec. And she was actually closing from off of the pace, too, whereas I think Vendetta is the type of mare that likes to be either on the lead or just right off of the pace. Now, Emi Jaramillo really did handle her well in kind of adapting to how the pace scenario turned out, but she usually is a speed horse, and I think that she, in her last couple of starts, just maybe has been running against a bit too tough, or just not been comfortable with where she is. So Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle today. There is some other speed to the outside in Princess Victoria and Cowgirl Tough, so that is what concerns me most about this, if she does get hounded. But if she can get into a comfortable little pocket early, we'll see if she can recapture some of that.
All right, should be, if she shows up with one of her better efforts, or at least something similar to that 4-race win streak she had, it'll be a good drive down to the wire between her and Bitacora. Two nice fillies. We'll see which one of them proves best, or if somebody else is lurking for the upset in Friday's 5th race. No doubt a good one on the card. Race number 6 features a big field, a good-sized field, the 2-year-old filly Florida-bred maidens in this $40,000 special weight on the dirt at 5.5 furlongs. If you don't want to play the guessing game, you can certainly give a long look to the 5 Reagan's Rose, who was bet first out and ran a solid race behind the Desert Vixen bound. Valid interest.
Valid interest. Some money on, I believe she's 7-2 on the morning line in the
choice.
Desert Vixen
I
as
picked
well.
her too.
So, all right, well, that'll be interesting to see. We'll take a look at Regan's Rose's first race, and she showed quite a bit of speed in there. You like to see that Emmy Sale Jaramillo stays aboard. She's the number 8. She's out front. She did debut with the blinkers on. Thought it was a nice performance from her. Valid interest is the number 6. She's on the outside. We'll just highlight that quickly. Here's in the blue colors, valid interest coming on the outside, and we'll let it roll from there. But I thought she was kind of late switching leads, maybe some greenness, some inexperience there did prove, and it looked like valid interest was just very strong at first asking. Certainly have to imagine Regan's Rose will improve.
And you stopped by trainer Rory Miller's barn this morning?
I did. He has a colt in the Florida Sire Stakes as well. Pretty interesting story, and we'll hear more about that tomorrow. But stopped by his barn, and he was pretty excited about this one. He has a lot of nice 2-year-olds trains up in Ocala.
All right, good stuff. And he's got a nice one in Regan's Rose. Now, she might be in trouble if she doesn't improve, and you've got 1 or 2 very well-meant firsters in race number 6. And regarding the well-meant phrase, you would think they like the 6 Homemade Salsa. I know this is the operation where Tyler's bread is buttered, very much so, riding for trainer Mike Maker, but the fact that he's aboard this filly by Two-Step Salsa was good enough reason for me to put Homemade Salsa second, as she's out of a dam who, again, has foaled 5 winners, including Conquest Two-Step and Shake of Shakes. So you've had some precocity on the dirt in the family with Shake of Shakes. It was a big 2-year-old winner a couple summers back at the Spa for trainer Wesley Ward. Quick rundown of the one Fun and Games, who's on the rail. Gray filly by a freshman stallion based in Florida in Rattlesnake Bridge. This one sold originally as a yearling for $8,200 and was pinhooked back at OBS April for 33 G's after working a furlong in 10-1, and the first fall out of a professional maiden dam, if you will, who was 0 for 18 in her running days.
Yes, I saw all of that too. Rattlesnake Bridge progeny 0 for 4 so far, so wanted to just kind of watch one, but a nice work tab for Bobby DeBona. You would imagine maybe the tactic is to send from the rail. Having the rail as a firster is never easy. As far as Homemade Salsa goes, I love the name, I love the pedigree as well, but Mike Maker, first-time starters, certainly not one of the strongest moves for the barn. I was intrigued very quickly. Wanted to mention the 7 Tony Ann's Miracle. Really sharp work tab, and Larry Pilati actually does do very well with 2-year-old first-time starters in maiden special. He's about 27%. So interesting to see if this one will run to that work tab.
All right, as Miguel Vasquez coming off a 3-win Thursday afternoon. He's been riding in just a solid, consistent groove. The best I've seen him ride since I got to Florida, and he's kept it up one card after another. He'll have the call as we, of course, head further down the stretch, and we come up on Friday's 7th race, a 7.5 furlong field of 9 with 3 and up, filly and mare, Florida bred, A other than allowance optional claiming runners. The number 6 horse, Wild Chatter, we both picked her on top. And again, I would have a hard time arguing with anybody that said, you know what, for Rainbow 6 and late pick 5 purposes, and even the late 4, I want to single her. They're going to have to do some running to get around her.
They will, and we'll show that last race. We're actually going to look at the head-on of the stretch because she was placed first through disqualification. She's the number 8. She's on the outside, and Miss World Venezuela is on the inside, and we'll show the head-on again of the stretch. And this is kind of where things happen in here, in that Miss World Venezuela, the number 5, does bother her, cause issue in the stretch. And it's actually interesting because the jock was going right-handed, and here's where the bumping does happen. She just kept drifting off of the rail. It was right before the wire.
Yeah, right before the wire, and obviously misfortune for Miss World Venezuela, who I think is either running here tomorrow or Sunday.
Yes, this weekend sometime.
This weekend, all the races. There's 25 of them between Saturday and Sunday at Gulfstream. They all start to blend together. But Wild Chatter with Gaff Leone for a high percentage outfit in Ralph's 80. She's just the filly to beat. I had a little interest in the 10 Storm in Charlotte, and again with the late pick 5, said I could press or even single Wild Chatter. But if I'm using more than her in this race, I want the 10 Storm and Charlotte. Safi Joseph Jr., kind of a very niche stat, but one in which he's done really well. Second off the claim with the last out winner. 4 for his last 7, and that tells me these horses that he's claiming and are winning first off the claim are not just one-hit wonders.
And this one is so interesting to me because she was strictly a need-the-lead pace type mare. First off the claim, she was off the pace. She was taken back. That was actually the day where Tyler won 7 races on a card, and he was not losing that race on her. So I do kind of wonder what we're going to see from her, especially in terms of tactics
All
today.
right, let's move on to race number 8. Late double begins with our final dirt event on the card this Twilight Friday. The main track action anyway comes to a close with the 8th. Quick one here at 5.5 furlongs. It's a 3-and-up. $20,000 to $16,000 maiden claimer. And for me, I had the most interest in the 6, Silver Chalice, for trainer Gilberto Zerpa. Just does an excellent job. He's got solid numbers going turf to dirt. In fact, 5 for his last 22 for 23%. And Mo Bourbon, in a way, looked the most intriguing here, as this horse clearly has gone the other way, but maybe didn't care for Churchill Downs and running on the main track there. And I'm going to call this as a move up in the training department. First off the trainer change to Elizabeth Doble.
Certainly could be. Now, this one does have pedigree. Certainly, he was a $150,000 purchase at the start. I didn't know what to do with Silver Chalice because he ran so well on the turf last time. Now they go back to the dirt. Turf to dirt in maiden claiming for the barn. They are just 1 for 10 when you narrow it down just to maiden. So I landed on a horse that has his own fair share of questions, but did run well in a sloppy track last time, and that is the 2 Visions of You for Fernando Abreu, now first off the claim. I thought that one was actually a solid performance from that horse, so we'll see if he can do it on a fast track.
That was a major forward move for the number 2 Visions of You, and we'll see if Fernando can get on track here, and maybe was ahead of the curve, so to speak, jumping in and grabbing this one for 12.5. It all comes to a close with race number 9 today, a 2-turn turf event. $30,000 to $25,000 claimers as we cap the card, and you've got some numbers to back you up here with a dozen entered in this one. It comes down to the 3 more Alex, who's going to get pace. They're going to be, I think, running and gunning in here. There are a number of horses that like to blaze on early on. Does more Alex break? Just couldn't pick him on top, though, because of his woes.
I could not either.
What do you got?
It is amazing. The only time he did end up winning, he won by just a nose. He barely got there. I've said it before. He is one of the more talented horses I've seen. I absolutely love that you picked Terry's Charm. It's just that I have lost so much money on him and trying to make my long shot.
Going to the window today.
We'll see. I landed on the class dropper, Sir Sebastian. He has a really sharp work tab, freshened up since the end of June. I actually thought that last race behind Classic move was very good, though he is a little bit temperamental in the afternoons.
Oh, he is. Good.
Yes.
You'll keep us up to speed in the nightcap today, and let's see. Best of luck, more Alex. I hope you've got your running shoes on here in the last. We're fans of you. You just got to break with the field. We're fans of you, and thank you for joining us here on Gulfstream today. We're also big fans of Pete Aiello.
Absolutely.
The voice of GP, who's coming up right now with your Friday Scratches and Changes.